We should be live right now. One sec. All right. I think it's 1 o'clock p.m. exactly here in Canada and should be 6 p.m. in Nigeria right now. Thank you so much, everybody, for turning on the notification and meeting us here live on YouTube. It's going to be an awesome event, I believe. So right now I'm here and I have my co-host. We are all ready and I know people are like joining in one by one also. I'm so excited to be hosting this session. Um, so we are going to start roughly with a few questions here and there from both myself and my co-host, and then we would now welcome questions from everyone, anything you have. And I want us to have in mind that we are basically talking about scholarships during this session. So get your questions prepared while myself and my co-host are like just discussing, sharing things with you generally. So feel free, drop fire emojis, show your excitement, be free. Yeah, like we are not too professional, okay? So everybody should feel welcome. All right, so I'm going to introduce myself briefly and then Lido Nwilene, she is going to have the floor, okay? So I'm Precious Kolawole. I'm from Nigeria, and right now I'm studying computer science at Carleton University here in Canada. I work at Shopify as a software engineering intern, but people know us as dev degree interns basically. Aside from that, I've been at Shopify for 1 year now. Very soon I should like do something about like 1 year recap of being at Shopify or something. But that's something for like the future. Okay. So yeah, I've been at Shopify for 1 year, and right now I'm in my first team. I just doing God's work basically. So I'm going to give the floor to Lido. She's going to introduce herself, and then we will now like get to ask each other questions based on scholarship also. So Lido, go for it.
Awesome. Well, hello everyone. Can you hear me okay?
You are loud and clear.
Okay, just making sure. Hello everyone. So glad to be here. First of all, thank you so much, Precious, for the opportunity to do this with you. I'm really excited. My name is Ledornubari Nwilene, but most people struggle to say that, so most people call me Ledo. I am an international student from Nigeria. I so in the US, I graduated from Drexel University last year, 2022, and there I studied cybersecurity with a minor in human computer interaction. Kind of shifted gears from my cyber path a bit, and I really fell in love with product management, and now I work full time at Oracle as a product manager. I started there a couple of months after graduation. I was very grateful and blessed to receive a ton of scholarships through school. And yeah, I'm happy to share more about things that I've learned and just what that process was like for me. So I'm happy to be doing this with Precious, who's also a superstar killing it at Carlton. So
Come on.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So
Oh my God. Okay, can you actually tell the audience that you are from Nigeria?
I
They
am
shouldn't
from
confuse
Nigeria.
like confuse your name with uh like I don't know,
I
probably
know I
you're
get that a lot. Yeah, people often think like my name is like Eastern African or Southern African, but no, I am 100% Nigerian.
awesome. Okay. Like you said, you guys now know Ledo is from Nigeria. But even if you are not a Nigerian and you are on this live right now, please, we are talking about things in general, okay? So stay and you get to learn one or two things. Lido, I would like you to talk about the scholarship session, scholarship opportunities you've been able to get. Because I remember when Lido, when we both connected on LinkedIn, and oh my God, I was like stunned to see all the opportunities she has actually benefited from. Like they are a lot. I think I can share my screen while she like talks through those things. I have a screen that contains all the scholarship she has like been able to get. So let me do that really quick so we can all just dive right into history. So share screen. I hope this website does not mess up. If it messes up, then I will just allow her to talk without me sharing my screen. Okay. Share this window. Okay, can I get a yes if everyone can see like the screen perfectly? Oh yes, we did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So can I make it bigger? One sec.
Yeah, I think if you go to slideshow.
Now it's taking over my entire screen, which is not
Oh,
something I want.
okay.
So we are going to just manage this. Okay.
Okay, sure. Okay, so do you want me to talk about like each of them or yeah, I just want to be sure I'm answering your question.
Yeah, just list them and just
Okay.
touch base on them.
Okay.
In
Yeah.
short. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so these are scholarships that I've received as an undergraduate in school. My first was Microsoft's Diversity Tuition Scholarship. I think I got that in 2019. And yeah, I eventually got the Adobe one, the Google Women Tech Makers, Cadence Black Students in Technology Scholarship, VMware Rise, and Palantir Women in Technology. I don't think it's in order of how I received them. I think the first three are in order, but like the last three are not. But that's fine. But one thing I just want to point out from all of these are that they're tech diversity scholarships for the most part, and maybe I'll just ask like people to drop in the chat like what industry you're into. Are you in tech? Are you in healthcare? Just want to kind of gauge the audience. So if you could please do that, let us know. But I think even if you're not in tech, a lot of what we'll be sharing today, like our tips and just things that the way we approach our essays, can still be helpful for you. So yeah, still stay tuned. I think you'll still find some value regardless of what industry that you're in. But I just want to point out that all of these are tech diversity scholarships. So a lot of my perspective will be coming from that um, angle, and like how I approached my search and how I approached applying for these scholarships. But then I also got some from my university. The AJ Drexel scholarship was a recurring scholarship, but it was a partial scholarship, and that's why I had to find other external means. And then I also received from Distinguished Service Leadership Awards from my school as well, which is not mentioned here. But yeah, so I'm really grateful, because I think when you are an international student and you know that those prices, those tuition prices are not cheap.
Honestly.
So I think I'll just stop there, and then as time goes on, we'll.
Okay, let me follow up on that. You just mentioned all these scholarships you've been able to get, which is like very amazing. Only the best of the best students can have all these things on their profile. I would say, did you get this scholarship when you were in Nigeria, or you were like already in your school before you applied to all of these scholarships?
Yes, so I got these all in school, and that's primarily because when I came into uni, I wasn't actually in tech. I was actually thinking I wanted to be a doctor, so I didn't even know about any of these things. But
Oh,
I
that's
feel,
interesting.
yeah, I think some of them are, well, maybe not these ones, but I think generally some scholarships are open to incoming first years. But I always tell people that even if you don't get anything your first year, don't be discouraged, because you still have opportunities to get them as like your second, third, or even fourth years.
Exactly, exactly. That's awesome. I like the response. You don't have to like get them right in your first year. If you are in second year or third year, there are still like scholarships available to you. Some people will even tell you they only accept sophomore students, or like they will tell you. So it's not always for first year students alone. That's really awesome, Lido. Thank you so much for running us through the scholarships we've been able to get. All right. The next slide, which I'm going to go to, is like some of the scholarships I've been able to get. But guys, like I'm just jumping behind Lido. You get like she's the boss here. Like I haven't really gotten so much. Though I tried in my own little capacity. Okay, so I think the first one I received was the Gogo Generation Scholarship, and that was when I was in Nigeria. They have like different sections, but one thing I wanted to point out with the Gogo Scholarship is that I applied when I was in Nigeria, but they have different sections for Africans, one for people in North America, they have different sections. So navigating to their website and like going through all of those things, you will see the section that is like applicable to you as an Africa or as someone from the US or Canada. So the second one I received was Palantir Women in Tech. This was just me briefly running through what's it called? Scholarship website, and then I found it. I was like, oh my god, this is interesting. Then I applied for it and I got in. And the Shopify Dev Degree Program, which is like the main this is like my full-time role right now. It's also a scholarship based, and they like paid my entire tuition. Like they will be paying my entire tuition till I graduate. And I'm also like working for them full time. We call ourselves full time employees, but it's like still part time based, right? Till you graduate and they pay you stipends while you are studying computer science. Although it has to be just computer science, you can study something else while being in the dev degree program. And we all know Grace Hopper. Grace Hopper is like one of the biggest tech conferences for women in like in the tech space. So I got the scholarship recently, and it's about you attending the Grace Hopper event and also be a Grace Hopper scholar. So there are a lot of things associated with all of these scholarships. The Orange Soft is also there. But honestly, I've only been running through all of these scholarships. We need to know like the requirements, what people need to get, what people need to meet to be eligible for these things. What else? A lot of other things. And the follow-up questions after this particular slide will pretty much cover those things. So I will stop sharing my screen right now so I can like ask some more focused question from I will direct those questions to Lido, while I will allow the audience also to like put their questions in the chat sections, then we run through them. Okay, let me know if that's perfect with any emoji in the chat section. Okay, thank you so much. So I'll stop sharing my screen right now. So yeah, Lido, when I was in Nigeria, I was eligible to get some, and some applications were not like open to me when I was in Nigeria, and I had to come here. from your experience getting scholarship opportunities so far, what are like the common eligibility requirements you've seen in those scholarship applications? Maybe for undergraduate students, for people in tech and stuff. Would you like run us through those things?
Sorry, my mute button. Well, I couldn't find my mute button. But yes, I would love to. So I just have some notes. So just in case you see me looking to the side, I just don't want to
Awesome, no worries.
forget anything I mentioned. But yeah, so I think the ones that I have seen just from like the applications that I've gone through, and this is by no means like standard for all applications, like depending on where you're like the company or like the organization, they can be pretty flexible. And just because you don't qualify for all, I would still say like it doesn't hurt to try. But again, so just want to put that disclaimer out there. But usually it's like you have to be at a 4-year university or college, right? So not to say you can't get it if you're at a community college, but I think typically the ones that I've seen, they require you to be at like a 4-year university or enrolled in a 4-year university if you're about to start. And then obviously they will ask for like proof of that admission and so on and so forth. Secondly, the ones that I have gotten are usually for students in North America, so like in US or Canada. I think the Google Generation one has a North America application, but it also has an EMEA application. So some of these scholarships, I think sometimes the bigger the company, the wider their reach is, so they can like have different applications in different regions of the world. So it's just up to you to keep an eye on their website, just keep track. But usually the ones I have, okay, yeah.
You had something to hit. The Google Generation Scholarship, it was previously called Google Women Tech Maker Scholarship.
Oh, interesting.
People don't confuse the Google Generation Scholarship with the Tech Maker. They are both the same.
Okay. So interestingly, it was different, but I think now they merged it. Because in my year, I had a colleague or two colleagues who were generation scholars, but I was a women technical scholar. So I think now maybe Google has changed it over time. Okay, but that's good to know now though. Okay, yeah. So yeah, usually US or Canada, 4-year university, and then also again from the perspective that I think Precious and I are coming from, since we're both in tech, they kind of require you to be in a CS or technical related major, right? So again, it doesn't have to be computer science. It could be information systems, data science, but something technically related. That's usually like a requirement. Doesn't mean that you can't apply. So let's say you have a CS minor, or you have I don't know, you're maybe doing something related to CS. It might not be your actual major, but usually that's what they expect. And then also they a requirement usually is like you have to be able to provide letters of recommendation. I actually have, I'll dive into that a bit later, but usually like they require from like your professor or like a mentor or a manager, someone that has like led you or managed you in some capacity, someone that has seen your work ethic that you've worked with. Usually not a peer. They don't really, I'm not to say you can provide a recommendation from a peer, but usually it's like a professor or a mentor or a manager from like your last previous internships. And then lastly, I would say this is not really it's not like you can't apply if you don't have this, but it's usually expected that you have done some extracurricular involvement or like diversity and inclusion initiatives in some way, because that's what is really going to buttress your application. And we'll talk about that in a bit when we go to application tips and tricks. But just to kind of recap, be at a 4-year university or college, location, so usually US or Canada or North America, be studying CS or a technical related major, ability to provide about 2 to 3 letters of recommendation usually, and then it's just someone that's active in other extracurricular activities outside of school.
That's also like I really like the way you were able to break everything down perfectly. Thank you so much. Honestly, I would like to add a little bit more to the professor recommendation as our part. Most students we kind of just go to school, like we just want to go to school and graduate, right? Most people they don't make connections with people, and in this era of like COVID-19, internet, Zoom, and stuff, so people just take most of their courses online. Some people they don't like going to classes in person. So if you don't do all of these things, it will actually be a little bit difficult for you to like make rapport with professors, with academic advisors, with instructors, and all of those people, right? So just a word of advice would be, what if you are an undergraduate, then try to make connections with your professors, because they are the people that will speak for you if you want to apply for these opportunities.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the first one. Okay.
No, I said I second that. That's so key. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And also, we really can't stop like talking about extracurriculars. You don't need a lot of like tech experience to apply for these scholarships, but the extracurriculars, even if it's just like volunteering during academic orientation, you just sharing t-shirts to first year students. All those basic things, they really count because they have weight if you put them on your profile and then you write them very well. When it comes to these scholarships also, it's not always about what you do. It's about how you can put it, like how you can put those words together. It's like very important. What you do, like that particular volunteering experience can be like very basic to you, but the way you write it it needs to have like a lot of weight. And I'm not saying you have to like seek a professor to write a letter for you. You have the ability to write it, but just make sure you coin your words properly, and everything comes down to the impact of whatever activity you've taken up. Okay. Okay, I mentioned impact just now. Sorry, Lido. Let me just wrap up with.
Did you see my notes? I think you saw my notes. Because
No, I didn't.
I'm joking, because like I actually have some of these things that you're saying.
Okay, so I'm gonna give short now, and I'll let you like just take the floor because I've been enjoying the those points you've mentioned so far. Okay, in the aspect of the professor recommendation, I know in Nigeria, if people are streaming from Nigeria or from other African countries, the way the thing is set up is different from the way it operates here in the US or Canada, right? So if you from my experience when I was an undergraduate at Obafemi Awolowo University, it was a little bit difficult to like create rapport with professors. Like they will smile at you, not to talk of you making those things, right? But I would say try and just like show up, like be an outstanding student. These professors, they some African students will say like professors are mean, but they are actually not mean. They are just looking for the best of the best students out there, right? And if you've been able to make an impression on a professor and approaching that particular professor for something like this, it won't be difficult at all because they know you are an outstanding student. But doing this from Africa, I just want to like mention it again. Doing this thing from Africa can be like a little bit difficult because people are not just there. I would also say something like just these recommendation letters, they don't have to like be from professors alone. At times instructors, advisors, mentors, okay, so you can like leverage on your mentors also. So if you are in tech, try to make mentors, like have mentors that guide you, be close to them, and just show like you are a responsible mentee, and those people can also speak for you if you don't have professors to do those things, right? So okay, that's it. I'm not saying anything again. So Lido, I'll pass the next question to you right now. You've been really successful in this thing, and I would say what scholarship tips and tricks have worked for you so far?
Yeah. There's a lot to say here. And maybe I'll answer that question and just like the whole application process, maybe altogether since it's kind of related. But the first thing I would say was that I was very vocal about what I was looking for. Like I made it very clear that hey, like I'm, this first year, second year student. I really desperately need scholarships. Like I'm looking for scholarships, and I was vocal to the financial aid office, which is like the first step. So usually when you start at a university, I think the two main offices you're probably in contact with as an incoming student are usually like the admissions office and the financial aid office, because obviously, you have to get your admission and then you have to think about like funding. Like those are like the two main offices you interact with the most, and then you kind of get deeper into other offices as you start your college journey. So I was very, very vocal with them, like, hey, like I didn't try to act so cool, like no, I need I need your help. I need, as much as I can get. So I was very vocal. I was also very vocal to like my mentors and my friends and like just peers. I think sometimes, although I mentioned like your recommendations most likely would not come from peers, but don't overlook just how important your peers can be to your journey. I think many times, like some things I even heard, it wasn't really like a mentor that even told me. It was just like, oh, a peer would be like, oh, Ladi, I remember you said you were looking for this. I saw this. Like, here you go, that kind of thing, right? So don't like I can't overemphasize the importance of peer mentorship, peer relationships, because sometimes your friends are in circles that you're not in, and just by like having them in your corner, they become like your eyes and like your ears. So that's what I think. Because I was very very vocal, I wasn't doing this on my own. I had people to like you know look out for me. If they saw something that I was interested in, they would send it over to me. So that was the first thing, and then I yeah, so do you want me to talk about like the application itself, or should I didn't want to like jump ahead if I shouldn't.
Honestly, go for it. As the spirit leads.
Okay. 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 So okay, so yeah, so I was very very vocal about what I was looking for. um I didn't realize this then, but everything I was doing was preparing me for these kind of scholarships. So just a bit of a background story. When I joined my university, like I mentioned, the financial aid office was like the first place I would always go to. Just every term I would go there and ask, oh hey, are there scholarships I can apply for? And then they'll always tell me, oh no, you don't qualify because like you're not like US resident, or sorry, permanent resident or a citizen. And again, this is me speaking from my university and my experience. This might not be the case at like your own university, so always ask. Like the worst that can happen is that you get a no, or they tell you you're not qualified, but just ask, because rules change every now and then. But yeah, so I would always go there and they would always tell me, no, you don't qualify. And then also at that time, my university had this really annoying policy where if they it's really hard for them to increase your aid beyond what they've given you coming in. I know some universities that are very flexible. So let's say your tuition is 40,000 and they give you 25. As you start university, maybe like in your next year, they can increase that age to like 30 or 35, right? So, but my university really wasn't doing that, at least when I was like starting off. So it was always like they couldn't really give me more than what they had already given me, like partial scholarship they've already given me. So I got very, very like just frustrated with always hearing the same answer. So I was like, okay, if I'm not getting anything, if I can't really get much from my university, maybe I should look elsewhere. And that was when I started like being, trying to be intentional about finding things like in other places. So Google search. But even with Google search, I'll be reading like the application requirements, and then I'll see, oh, must be US permanent resident or citizen, and it would just be like, oh gosh, here we go again. So it was almost like I was hitting that same like dead end, if I would put it that way. But um so unknown to me, I was just like in my own little bubble, just really being passionate about diversity and inclusion. That was something that was I've always been very passionate about. I think a lot of my peers who I went to school with can tell you that. And that really stemmed from being the only or one of the very few black students in my classes when I switched to tech. And I think it's very real now. I think there's a lot more exposure, and maybe there's more diversity in classrooms and in corporates. But at least like then when I was starting out, I was like the only black person, only female, the only international student. So it was like just a lot of the only kind of person in these spaces. So I was working with a professor who used to teach middle school kids, so people around like third grade to like the seventh grade, how to code. And for me, it was just such a like beautiful experience. Like I was just like, oh wow, like I'm really happy that young girls like this have this exposure, because I didn't have that exposure, like in middle school. But I didn't realize that all of those things was setting me up for these kind of scholarships, because so the first time I heard about Microsoft Diversity Tuition Scholarship, it was through LinkedIn. And again, kind of going back to Precious's point, it's so important to be connected. So for me on my LinkedIn, I was connected to like other students, people that worked at different companies. I didn't really have like a particular dream company in mind, and I still don't. I just connect with people like if we have similar interests, if there's something I can learn from you, and vice versa. So I wasn't really having a criteria to follow people. It was just, oh, I met you at a conference, let's connect. So I think it just stumbled on my feed or something. I can't really remember, but I think it was someone that shared it on my feed. And I went through and I saw the requirements. It was looking for people who had done some things in like their own capacity as students in their universities, powering diversity and inclusion. And I was like, oh wait, like I've been doing this, right? Like this is perfect. Obviously, I didn't feel like I had a ton of experience. Kind of going back to Precious's point, you don't have to wait until you're super, qualified. But even if it's one thing you've done or two things, it's all about how you talk about that thing. Like the impact is the most important thing. So yeah, I just applied, and that one yes led to many other yeses. And here we are. So yes, I just say that to say, like, that was initially how that whole thing started. I didn't realize that what I was just doing, volunteering, community service, diversity and inclusion, was going to set me up for here. But let me now maybe get into the application part, and yeah, Precious, feel free to chime in at any point. So when I now got to, so let's say, so now I've seen the Microsoft Diversity Tuition Scholarship, and this was now me looking at it like, okay, how do I tackle this application? Like, I don't want to just waste my time, right? How do I set myself up in a way that I can win and actually get the scholarship? So the first thing for me always is like really understanding what the question is asking me. Because usually, maybe we didn't say it, but a lot of these applications require you to write an essay or multiple essays, right? So usually it's like you fill out your basic information, a couple of essay questions, and then maybe letters of recommendation. That's typically the structure of your application. So for me, the first thing was always taking the time to understand what the question was asking of me. Like, is it a reflection story? Is it about, like, maybe the question could be, oh, tell me about a time that you demonstrated leadership. That's more like a reflective story, right? They want me to reflect on a time, be able to show what I did, all of that stuff. Or I've had questions where they ask me, tell me about the most technical project you've ever worked on. That's more about, that's like a project related question. They want to see how I approached it, what the problem was, what I was trying to solve, and then the impact. So it's very important to know what, like the what's. Don't just jump and start writing. Like, don't be sentimental. Really understand what the question is asking.
If they ask you, hey, don't be writing on B.
Exactly. Like, so I always tell people, just like, if you even have to rephrase the question yourself, just rephrase it in a way that you understand, because it's so important to, there's nothing worse than going fast but not knowing like the direction of where you're heading to. I think many times it's just so easy to start writing because you have all these ideas. Even if you have to write bullet points of, oh, this is the question, and maybe these are my initial thoughts, jot it down first, and then you can start writing your essays. And then recommendations. So Precious already mentioned this, but really don't sleep on letters of recommendations. In addition to what she mentioned, like, connecting with your professors, your advisors, I kept a resume of all my activities. So this is not a resume I would include for a job search. This is more about like, this is all the million and one things Ledo has been doing as a college student. I went to this conference. I did this volunteer activity. I, shadowed this person. Like, I would just keep a repository of all my involvement so that when it came time to ask someone for recommendation, they're not scrambling in their mind, oh, what did Ledo do? Like, I already have this like fact sheet that says, oh, I've done X, Y, and Z, right? So I would just give it to them and be like, okay, hey, I'm applying for this scholarship. This is what the scholarship is about. In case you're wondering what to say about me, these are 10 different things that I've done in the last year. So it's almost like I'm making it easy for them.
Funniest thing, let me say something
Go
quickly.
ahead.
Most of these applications, they would request for resumes also. Most of them.
Exactly. That's a
So
good point.
the non-work related resume is what you drop for the scholarships. And funniest thing, on your resume, most, like, this is just like a cheat code. If on your resume you have like other scholarships you've achieved in the past, once those reviewers, once they see you are a beneficiary of a particular scholarship in the past, they've already set aside your application like you are a potential candidate, things like that. So most of the time, you getting the first scholarship can be like the hardest. You getting the first one. Once you get the first one and you include it in your resume, submit it for the second one. Honestly, it's always like a bliss. Okay, so that's it. You can keep going.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Sorry about that. I think my sugar was acting up. Yes, so yes, exactly. So most of these applications also require a resume. That's a good point. I forgot. Yes, totally. But yes, so I always, and I think importantly as well with recommendations, don't, as much as possible, again, maybe if you're first year, it might be a bit harder because you're still like just getting situated, which is why like prioritize these things very early on. Don't say, oh, I'll do it in my last year, or I'll do it like in my third. No, start from now. It gets easier with time, right? Or let's say like you're on your first or maybe even second year. Really try to find people who can speak to your strengths. Like, don't find somebody, maybe a professor who, like, I don't say you don't have a good relationship with, but maybe you just feel like doesn't really like you because you're setting yourself up for, I don't want to say failure, but you can't guarantee that this person is going to speak well about you, and you don't want to take any chances, right? I feel like the whole application is a story. You want it all to blend. You want what you're saying about yourself and what somebody else is saying about you to all be like cohesive. You want it to tell a beautiful story. So imagine you're saying, oh, I'm a go-getter, I've done X, Y, and Z, and then your recommendation is saying, oh, she's okay, she's average. It's not adding up.
And
Yeah, so really find people who can who know what you're about. And that's why it's so important to carry people along in your journey. I think what Precious and I are trying to say is do the work before, so when it comes time to things like this, it's so much easier for you. So imagine you have a mentor who you just always give updates about like every month or every 2 months, right? So when it comes time for them to give you a recommendation, it's not like, oh, what has Ledo been doing? Like, they already know because you've been telling them, you've been carrying them along on your journey. It doesn't have to be like 10 people. It could just be like two trusted people in your corner. It could be like your professor or advisor or even a mentor, but carry people along on your journey so that when it comes time, yeah, to speak.
okay.
Thank you.
One more thing. I know, like the first time I reached out to a professor here in my school, I had to like give myself a lot of push because it was something I was new to and I
Yes.
needed to do it, right? So when it comes to reaching out, it can be like a little bit difficult if you don't have like enough confidence, basically. So just the first time is going to be difficult. That's what I'm trying to say. But in as much as you know what your end goal is and you believe that like you have what it takes to get a scholarship, just make your first move, basically. Try and make your first move. Put all your energy, all the confidence you can gather, put everything together, and then reach out to whoever it is. I know what I did if when I wanted to reach out to this particular professor, he had always seen me in class and I think I did very well in our course, like very, very well. Okay. So when I reached out, I sent her an email and then she reviewed it. She was even like very excited because she said students don't really like reach out to her or something like that. And oh my God, she wrote a very beautiful essay. I was even like, how sure are you about me getting the scholarship? She said, Precious, I don't know what these people are looking for, but trust me, I am the best writer in town. That was what she told me that day. And now imagine somebody that says that to you, right? I know it's going to be like a headache, you approaching your professor the first time, but just do it. That's my mantra, basically. Just do it. I know that's the
Honestly,
best advice.
just go for it. Sometimes people say, oh, like you're afraid. Like, I don't believe in, oh, don't be afraid. Like, you can feel the fear but still do it anyway because you're thinking about like where you want to get to. You're thinking about, because if, like I mentioned, it just gets harder with time. Like, so, and most times, like as a freshman, freshman, professors are really kind. Like, they're very, like, they have a soft spot for you. They want you to, so it's just so much easier. And I'm not saying like, oh, reach out to people because you want something from them. I'm just saying, just start building those relationships. Even if you don't find any scholarships to apply to in your first year, those relationships will still be helpful for you as you go through school. So yeah, just do it. And then yeah, I think the maybe last thing I would say, I think Precious already talked about this too, is show your impact, right? Like the way, so I don't know if I don't know if how many people are aware of this like XYZ formula for writing your resume, right? Like I did X as measured by Y, um, resulting in X zero.
Result. Yes.
Exactly, right? So, and I think the same thing applies to an essay or a scholarship application. Don't just say, I was an intern at Shopify. Okay, I was an intern at Shopify, good, but this is the impact of my internship there, or this is the impact of what I did during my time there. Right?
Yeah.
Be very, very like explicit about your impact, because that is really what distinguishes you. Everyone has done everything. Like it's not no like there's nothing new about being an intern. There's nothing new about working on some AI or machine learning project or just something, right? But what really distinguishes you is the impact of what you've done, whatever it is you're talking about. So yeah, please just keep that in mind. You could also use a STAR method. I think the STAR method is very, very helpful, right? Situation, task, action, and result. Um, if that's like that can be like a good framework for you to follow, just like you're hitting all the points. But yes, and then maybe lastly, I would say just proofread and ask for feedback as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like unless maybe it's like quarter to the deadline, which I don't recommend. But if you can, if you have a friend who's like really good at writing, you have like a mentor, just get as much pairs of eyes on your application as much as possible, so that people can just like see gaps for you. They can help you, say, hey, maybe you need to reword this. Like it's kind of like just dotting your I's and crossing your T's. So yeah, so
I really love those points. Thank you so much. I think that's enough tips for people to follow, honestly. Uh, to reiterate, when it comes to deadlines, oh my God, I'm very, very guilty of that thing. I remember one application I was trying to submit then. It's the Hungarian scholarship. You like studying in Hungary for as a student in either computer science or medicine, and they will pay your entire tuition. Oh my God. I had other things I was doing. I didn't write it on time. I gave it to my mentor like 2 days to the deadline. And she had to like take her time to review it. When she sent me her feedback, it was too late. I submitted at 12:01. Oh my God. I wanted the wrong man. Like I was going crazy that time. I was still in Nigeria back then. And honestly, I lost the scholarship because I submitted late, right? So try to be on time, check the deadlines. And sometimes they will always extend the deadlines. Stay glued to their website and be up to date. Mhm. Also, I wanted to mention something. Now I can't remember. But anyways, we keep going. Um, mm, Okay, I will just keep quiet. I can't remember the other thing I wanted to add to it. All right. So now, yes, I remember the impact aspect. Sorry. When it comes to impact, it's not always like I like what she said about your work experience. But when it comes to somebody that has no work experience and all you've been doing is just like volunteering, mentoring, and a lot of other things. I know developers in the Nigerian tech space, most people they don't have like real work experience and they still want to get the scholarships, but they have a lot of volunteering experience, right? I would say if you are in this similar situation, I was there also. When I applied for the Google scholarship, my only experience with work is was when I was at like Learn Square doing machine learning stuff. And it was not like very, very technical. So most of the things I based my points on, they were like doing data science mentorship activities and just speaking at conferences and stuff. And what actually made me stand out was the impact section she mentioned, because this is like the way I've been approaching my stuff. I try to quantify my impact with figures, with numbers, and it has really, really been helping. Like you don't just say I did this, these people they were impacted, but how many people? Two people, 1,000, 100%, all those figures, like they are very, very essential. So if you are like a data science mentor now, you can say, I've been able to mentor this number of people from this so part of the world, and this is where my mentees, this is where they are in several places, like just transferring the skills I've taught them, things like that. So quantify your impact with figures, with numbers, and yeah, I trust we'll be able to do just fine. Okay, thank you so much, Lido, for those tips and tricks. We all appreciate it. Even myself, like you can see, like I'm jotting things down for my next application. I'm going to apply all those things. Okay, so I also want to say for the people outside of Nigeria, I know most Nigerians they know what they need to do to get those things. Like when I say they know what they need to do, like they are all they are representing themselves in their little way. But when it comes to like people in the US, in Canada and stuff, can you discuss some community services people can like dive into, or extracurricular activities that will have like weight on their scholarship applications?
Yeah, no, I this was a very good question. I had to like take notes. Um, the first thing I would say is I think sometimes school projects are overlooked, right? So usually, like, I think a lot of, and Precious, I'm sure you can relate, but a lot of courses are not just like they aid your learning, but I think here in North America, schools are very big on really helping you to retain, like, or like retain understanding based on the subject matter. So it's not just about getting an A and, like 2 plus 2 equals to 4. They want to put you, like, they want you to work on a project that really tests that understanding. So many times, yeah, like they'll ask you to maybe work on a project with a group of people. Maybe it'll be like, oh, figure out like some nonprofit in your area. Depending on the course, obviously, it could be a technical project. But so I would say any technical project or any project at all you've done in any of your classes is something that you can add to your application. Secondly, I would say hackathons. This was a big one for me, and I can't shout and I wish I can shout like just how important the reason why I love hackathons is because they show you how much you can accomplish in a very limited time. So honestly, I've not done any hackathon more than 3 days or even a week at max. Oh, sorry, week max, right? Like usually it's like 3 days, maybe 48 hours, 4 days max. But why I love hackathons so much is because you have an end result at the end of the hackathon. It could not, maybe it's not a fully functional prototype, but you have something to say, hey, this was my idea, my team worked together, this is what we got to, and this is maybe how we want to keep on improving this, right? So I think hackathons have been so helpful, especially if you don't have internships yet. Like, look for hackathons, and hackathons are great too because you can wear many hats. You can be the developer, you can be the PM, you can be the designer, you can be the project lead, and there's just so many things you can do in a very short time.
To add to the hackathon part, sorry.
Yes.
And most people will be like, how do I get to know the available hackathons around me? I would say in your school, we have different communities, different organizations. In Calton right now, we have the Google Developer Student Club, Calton Computer Science Society, and many, many organizations like that. Each of these organizations, they always host hackathon, basically. We have the GitHub Campus Expert program also. They have hackathons, they roll out. I don't know the interval basically, but they do roll out hackathons, right? So try to engage in these hackathons. And if you are from Nigeria, I would say when I was in OAU too, we had like different organizations. We had the data science community, data science Nigeria. That's what they used to call them, data science Nigeria. Apart from that, we have the Microsoft Student Led Ambassador Program, right? A lot of these programs, they have hackathons, they always host. So try to join those communities and just stay up to date with their announcements, their rollouts, and you should be able to like sign up for this hackathon so as to like get involved. Okay, so I will let you have the floor, Lido. Keep going.
No. That's really great. Yeah, yes. So definitely if your school, also Eventbrite sometimes like just lists out. Eventbrite is really great because you can filter by different like types of events. So like different maybe like social events, technology events. Like there are many filters you can use, and you can just like use that to also find opportunities. But usually your school has a lot, and clubs and communities like you mentioned have a lot of opportunities. And then also I would say just anything volunteering, right? Whether you're volunteering or let's say you're leading a club with a mission that is either volunteering or has a D&I mission. So D&I mean diversity and inclusion. I not once or twice, like a lot of my applications, I've mentioned a role I had with this community called Rewriting the Code, and it's a community targeted for uh, females in technology. Initially it used to be for undergrads just in the US, but now they've expanded, I think, to also students in Canada and around the world, if I'm not mistaken, and also for graduate students. And I used to be their regional hub leader in Philadelphia, and my goal was to just create a community for women to feel safe in tech, build relationships with organizations and companies to retain talent and to also like provide them access to opportunities. So that kind of role is something I can speak a lot about. I'm not exactly like the leader of the club, but I was a leader for a hub, and I was responsible for I think about like 90 something female students, right? So that's something that I can just say, oh, it's nothing, but it's something, right? It shows I can lead a group. It shows that I have a passion to help people, and it also shows that I'm passionate about diversity and inclusion. So anything yeah, anything, if you're serving or if you're leading a club, that's also very important. So I think
Yeah.
those are the three things I would say is projects, hackathons, or any involvement, leading or volunteering for something with a mission around diversity and inclusion or just community service in general. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's
Yep.
perfect. One more thing, I want to like just chip in a few of my experiences. Since I came to this Canada, I've been able to like join a few of this volunteering programs, and they also have hackathons there. So with your little experience, I believe everyone can give back because there is somebody out there who like that particular thing you are going to say can be the turning point for the person, right? So don't tell yourself I don't have enough skill to do these things, right? So a few ones I've seen is like the Technovation program. Technovation is like very big here in Canada. There is exploration also. It's also big here in Canada. There is innovation in Canada. There is terminal, right? So if you just go to Google any during your leisure hours, go to Google, just just type something like how to be involved in like teaching girls how to code. I know there are a lot of initiatives out there, but like teaching ladies how to code. And the tutors don't have to be females alone. They get male tutors also. So just try to sign up for these things, give basic talks, even if that's the first one you are going to start with. Give basic talks, try to mentor these young girls. And these are the things you can keep putting on your portfolio as, oh, I helped these people, I contributed to this thing. Okay. So yes, those questions are like those answers are like very perfect. I've been enjoying them. Thank you so much, Lido. And so I'm just going to like wrap things up here before we now start asking, like answering people's questions. Basically, there is this one. I know one of the tweets I dropped on Twitter says like, "How can one japa with scholarship in the bag?" And most people are like, "Okay, that's why I'm here. I need to know how to leave Nigeria, right?" So I'm just going to like touch base on that one briefly before we now start answering people's questions. I would say if you see yourself leaving Nigeria to study abroad, just know you have like just make sure you have a structured plan. Know what you want to do and what you plan to achieve by traveling outside of Nigeria. And if you know what you want to achieve, that is going to help you in your search in looking for like available opportunities for you. When I started mine, I knew I wanted to study computer science. I was very sure, and I knew I wanted to drop my medical degree. I was not confused. Oh, which one should I go for? Which one should I go for? Right? I knew I wanted to do computer science, and that helped my search. That like made me look into the Google Generation Scholarship because it's for people in computer science. That made me to start looking into Shopify Dev Degree Program. So know what you want to achieve, and aside from that, you should look at the countries you see yourself living at, right? If you see yourself staying in Canada, you have to like stream down your opportunity, your search to opportunities available in Canada. If you see yourself in the US, you do something like that. And most people because of the like English barrier, I know in Nigeria everyone speaks English, but there are other countries where like I don't want to say everyone speaks English, like almost the majority speaks English, right? And if you are trying to apply to some schools outside of Africa, there is this language limitation, so you might want to be be know these facts before you start putting together your application. And it doesn't mean you cannot apply to countries where they are not speaking English, but make sure your program is taught in English. And aside from that, be know try and be sure that this particular program is being taught in English, and also your professors, they will be communicating with you in English. That's basically the point I'm trying to make out of this. So aside from that, I believe the internet is at your fingertip, right? So just make the best out of it. I won't say something prompted me to look into the dev degree stuff. I was just like doing normal internet search and also building your network. A friend of mine had initially applied to the dev degree program and he didn't get into the program. When I told him I wanted to study computer science, it was like, okay, dev degree is there. I applied and I didn't get in. And that also adds to the point or Lido was trying to make earlier, building your connection, right? So those were the things I kind of did. And if I get to like remember more stuff, I will add it as we keep going. Okay. So I would say just know what you want to study and buttress, try keep making those searches and using all the points we've added together, we've been talking about so far. I believe they will help you in successfully getting one. And you get a lot of rejections also, so be ready for something like that. Prepare your mind. You get rejected a lot, but those rejections, they won't define you basically. Okay, so right now I've started like 8 different questions from some amazing viewers here. Thank you so much for dropping your questions. We really appreciate them. And the first one I'm going to put on the screen right now says, can an international student in Canada apply for the Microsoft Tuition Scholarship? Lido, I'm going to allow you to take this question because you are the Microsoft scholarship beneficiary, basically.
Yeah, good question. So I'm not sure. I'm actually trying to look at that right now. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they've discontinued that diversity tuition scholarship. I think now they have the women scholarship. So this is for high school students. So let's say you're in high school and you're about to start. So this could be something that you look into if you're about to start university. They also have the Blacks at Microsoft scholarships as well. I think obviously like for uh, people of color also in high school about to start universities. I'm not able to post links, so maybe I'll just send it over to you, Precious, and then you can like, yeah, you can put that shared links in the chat. But I'm not sure about the location. Most times, like I mentioned, it's usually like North America. But yeah, I think this page will have the.
Necessary information.
I'll just put them in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to drop that really quick so the person that asked the question can access it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great. Yeah.
it should pop up right now. Let me start it so people can.
Oh, it says you have to be a US based high school senior of African descent.
Okay, and also there is this high school senior thingy. It's like you must be, I think, your final year in high
Yeah.
school, basically. So if you are an undergraduate, I don't even think you are eligible for it.
Yes. If you're, yeah, you have to be about, yeah. So you're about to start
To
your
start,
first, yes, yes.
exactly,
You have to be in
exactly.
high school.
That makes sense. Thank you so much. I hope that has answered your question, APS Plus. So another question from APS Plus. She said, for the non-work related resume,
Mm.
is there limitations to number of pages?
Yeah. So I think we should both share our perspective. So what I typically do is my regular resume is like my work resume, but I still include lots of projects into it, right? But so okay, practical example, my resume would have like my education, my internships, then it would have some hackathon projects that I really feel like they're not internships, but they're projects that I really was able to work impactfully in. I want to share like the prototype of what my team and I built, something like that. So I would include that in my resume. But then my non-work resume would include like all my volunteer activities, all the coding activities I've done, all the clubs I've led. These are things I can't really put in my resume because I want my resume to be one page. So that's what I send over to my letters to my recommenders, like, oh, to say, okay, these are all the things I've done. So I would include my actual resume and also this like non-work resume. So they have like a plethora of opportunities like pick from whichever one they want to speak to. Right. So that's typically how I approach it. But just rule of thumb, I keep my resume to one page because I feel like yeah, everything I want to say can be in one page. That's why, like I mentioned, you can still have this uh, resume or like a repository for like all your involvements, but I don't think that should be what you put in your application. I think as resumes, they still want to see like your work experience, but also like projects if you have any. I don't know if that
Okay.
answers the question, but that's how I approached my applications.
I think it does. Something I'm going to add briefly is that you shouldn't limit what you are writing based on the number of pages.
Mm.
When I'm writing my resume, my first draft always contains everything. Like the first draft contains everything. And after my first draft, I now start to like remove the like maybe the redundant ones, basically, like or the ones I don't want to like show. So I try to remove those things. And after removing them, I send them over to my mentors for like extra feedback. So once I receive their feedback, by the time I'm going through this process of like doing mine, sending to others, reviewing, applying whatever they've said. By the time I see the result, it's always like maybe 2, 3 pages, at times even 1 page, right? So don't limit yourself based on the number. The first time, just bring your entire brain together and try to write something. And after that, you can now start reducing the number of pages.
Yeah.
Most recruiters, I won't say recruiters because we are not like in the work setting, but some people, I was fortunate enough to like attend this conference. Two recruiters actually came, and one was like, I'm very big on the number of pages, and one was like, no, I don't care the number of pages. I just want to see what you've been able to do, and your resume must be bold enough for me to see those impacts you've made, right? You don't just, your structure must be nice, you must tailor it nicely, right? And she said that was the only thing she was big on. So it depends, just try and see what you can do and then apply it to your resume.
I think we lost Precious. Can you guys still hear me? Can someone put in the chat? Or is it just my... If you can hear me, please let me know so I can... I'm not sure if it's my internet or Precious's internet. Okay, I think we lost her. Yep, yeah, I think so as well. Okay.
Oh my god.
No worries.
Can you see me now?
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
You can hear me. Awesome. So let me try and set that up.
Okay.
Hey, camera, Logitech. Oh, I better get out of the meeting then join again.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to. Hi.
Yes, we
Good.
can. Yes, you're
I
back.
actually thought the live stream was going to end. Like,
Oh no, it didn't.
okay, we are back. Okay, this is nice. Sorry for the glitch.
No
Okay,
worries.
I think I was saying something, but I can't remember anymore. So I will just like
I
move.
think we're talking about like don't limit your have a
Yeah,
data dump for everything and then you can like refine it later with your resume.
exactly. I made my point basically. Okay,
Yes.
so I don't have to like go back to it. I hope
Mhm.
that Happy Explores. And Happy Explores is also asking a question about how do you reach out to professors? Um, she would probably have a lot to say about it, but I've been able to reach out to two professors so far. And the first one I reached out to was the woman I previously mentioned. And how I approached that, I said I've been like a good student in her class, basically. And what I did was to send her an email, a well-written email. And when I sent that, she reviewed and she got back to me. She was like very excited to jump on it. And we scheduled a date to meet. And when she met me, she already had the recommendation letter with her. I didn't even like, okay, I shared my website link, my portfolio website link with her. So I think she just went through the website and based on what she has observed in my performance in class so far, she was able to like draft the recommendation letter from there. And the second professor was like me going to his office in person. Like I just went to his office and he had already known me before, right? So I discussed what I wanted to do with him and he took it up. So, oh, Lido, do you want to like say something to that?
Yeah. So I think the way I think about my professors is how I think about like friends or just like my peers, right? So one way I've been able to build relationships with professors is going to their office hours, because usually most students don't go to office hours. Like many students don't go to office hours,
Sure.
right? Office hours are usually timed like in the week, maybe it could be like once or twice a week, where a professor says, "My door is open. Come if you have any questions." Even if I don't have questions about the course, it could just be, "Oh, I just want to like say hi to my professor. I want to get to know them." It just puts like a face to the name, especially if it's a really big class. But those little things just show that you are like engaged, that you actually want to learn. I think this is more of a long-term strategy, though. This is maybe not for a time when you have something that you need due in like 2 weeks. And that's why I think make relationships now, so that when you need those things, it's like
Yeah.
they already know you, they know what you're about, they know what you're into. It just makes it so much easier, because it's kind of weird where I'm not saying you can't be lucky, and I'm not saying that professors won't agree to help you, but it's kind of weird when a student that they've never spoken to asks them for a letter of recommendation about, something. It's like, oh, like it's just a bit weird. Again, I've had people who could do that for me, but I've learned that it's just so much better to build those relationships.
Lido, if I were to be a professor and I don't know you and you are coming to me to write a recommendation letter for you, I'll
Mhm.
just send it to ChatGPT. Give
Yeah,
it to me, and I'll give it to you.
exactly.
Okay,
Exactly
thank
right.
you
So
so much
yeah, yeah.
for
So
giving that answer. Okay, Happy Explores. I hope that has answered your question. So we have another question from Janet. She said, "What about specific scholarships in product management? I'm not a product manager, but I know Lido is a product manager. Do you want to pick that up?"
yeah, so I when I actually saw this question, I was a bit curious, because I'm not sure if this question is about scholarships for product management like programs. Because as far as I know, like I'm not. I think it's very rare to see like a BSc in like product management, right? Like it's not really a degree that many universities have. There are courses at Udemy, Coursera that offer product management courses. So I don't know if that's what. Uh, Janet, feel free to like respond to this. I'm not sure that's what you're referring to,
Yes,
or you're
just
referring to, yeah, or are you referring to like if you are interested in product management, are you still eligible? But maybe I'll just answer both ways and feel free to follow up. So there are scholarships for like product management courses. So many like online course platforms offer scholarships for courses in general, not just even product management. So yes, I think if you just go online. But then if you're asking about if you have a PM interest and if you're eligible, so when I said CS or technical major, it technical can mean like product marketing, it can mean content marketing. Like tech is so much broader than just computer science, and that's something that I'm so happy that it's getting more. People are finding more information about that. There's so much more to tech than just computer science, software engineering. So even if you have a product management background and all your projects are around like PM, you are still eligible for these scholarships because it's still considered technical. It's like it's still under the technical umbrella. But again, I'm not sure. This question was not super clear, so please let me know if you have follow-up questions, or you can also connect with me on
I
LinkedIn.
personally think you did justice to that.
Okay. Okay.
But I asked her, I followed up for her to like be more specific. And like you said, they can also reach out to you on
Yes.
LinkedIn. Dido is very open. So go to her DM and I'm very sure she'll be all ready to help you
Thanks.
out. Okay. Emmanuel is saying, seems you must be an undergraduate before you even attempt to apply. What my answer is going to be is that some they require you to be an undergraduate, like it's part of the eligibility requirement, and some, like the Microsoft one we mentioned the other time, they only need high school students. So for different applications, the requirements vary. So you just have to like look for the application, the scholarship you are trying to apply to, and see if what they are looking for is what you have. But there are a lot of other scholarships out there that won't require you to be an undergraduate. For example, the Google Generation Scholarship. If I'm not outdated, if I'm still current, like previous applications require they won't mind if you are a master student or like a PhD student. For Google Generation Scholarship, they used to do something like that, but don't take my word for it. I can't remember, but I remember like, and there are also like a lot of scholarships also for people in doing their masters, people doing their PhD, or just the tech developers generally, right? But it's just like majority they want you to be an undergraduate because they are trying to sponsor your education. Okay. Or do you want to say add anything to that, Lido? Okay. Thank you. Oh, so what if you already graduated from the university? I think this also like supports the first question, right? So just look for, if you're in masters or PhD, look for the masters related scholarships or the general one for people in tech. Okay. Some people they just want to see if you are, we didn't say this then. Some scholarship applications, they want to see if you are underrepresented, and that's it. So you just have to tell them you are underrepresented in the tech field one way or the other. And you are like you are eligible, basically. So yeah. Another question from Oluwato Senroda. She said to get these scholarship opportunities, one must have a tech niche, right? What tech skills can one start with for someone who has no tech background? Okay. Do you want me to take that?
I think you can take it then if I have anything to add. Yeah.
If you don't have any tech background, okay, the first part says one must have a tech niche, right? Most applications, if an application is related to education, schools, they won't really be focused on the experiences you have, right? The experiences, they are just there to buttress your application essay, right? So most of them, they just want to see that you are an undergraduate and you are in need of financial assistance, and they want to see how you've shown up in the community. So that's what they are looking for, basically. But there are some that are specific to developers, right? So these ones, they will require you to have like a little bit of tech experience. But I would say if you are now like trying to get started in tech and you don't know where to start, bro, this is it. I would recommend you knowing where you want to go, like what you want to dive into. The tech field is like very big, very wide. So you can't just wake up one day and be like, I want to pick up this programming language. Like, where do you want to apply that programming language to? So I would say sit down, know what you want to do in the tech space. This is not always clear to beginners. They don't know all of the available opportunities in tech, aside from, let's say, front-end development, back-end development, and maybe software engineering. And some people will tell you they know data science, right? Those are the popular ones. I would say sit down, try and look at, there are blog or posts about like different tech fields. I remember sending a few of these blog posts to the people that have asked me these questions before. So try look online, see blog posts related to different fields in tech. Then, based on what you've digested while reading, try and, if you don't if after reading and you still don't know what you like, I would say look at your interest, your personal interest, how you've lived your life day to day, right? The things you are like much more like, you don't have to like stress yourself to like them. I would just put it that way. So based on those skills, you would have to like look for connection between any tech skill you okay, if you are someone who likes visuals, like you like just putting things together, seeing colors, seeing designs, you might want to consider UI UX development, UI UX designing, not development, and front end development. Those two, they are kind of inclined towards visuals, designs, and stuff. And you can even look at it. Okay, if I'm someone from another niche and I'm trying to dive into tech, what was I doing before? Okay, if I'm in the medical field, okay, what are the skills in tech? What are the skills in tech that can help me that I can apply to whatever field like I'm in right now? Let's say you are in healthcare, you can start thinking about data science that will allow you to like do a lot of data stuff, right? So I would say you need to make sure it's something you like. After knowing what you like and after discovering, okay, now I know I want to do data science, then you need to start looking at the programming languages that will help you become a better data scientist. And you can do this by also reading blog posts. I would say the internet is very big. If you just need to like create that time and do your search, do it. Like, nobody's going to do it for you. No amount of talk we get to have sometimes, we clarify some things to you unless you sit down and do those assignments. So after doing this, reading Google and stuff, I would say look at people. LinkedIn is a good place. Look at people that are data scientists on LinkedIn. What skills do they have on their profile? Then you can also look at job sites also for data science roles, and then look at the skills employers are looking for. And then you can now start picking up those skills, those programming languages, and start building things from there. Okay, that's enough. I've been talking for so long. Uh, do you think that's good, or do you want to like?
No, I think this is great. Yeah, just maybe just like a final thing I will just add is for the scholarships, I like that you took this, like you really entered in depth for someone who maybe wants to start a tech career, like but doesn't have any background. But just to kind of reemphasize the scholarships piece, it's okay if you don't have a niche. Like you can just be a regular like first year, second year student who's just trying out CS, who has taken like a couple of courses, and you don't really know what your interest is in it. I would actually I even I encourage students that your first second like your first 2 years, it's okay to explore. Like it's okay to not know what you want to really do in tech or anything. But as you start to go to like your third, fourth year, have a lot more clarity. And that's why like internships, hackathons are so important because you get to try out many different things in many different ways and capacities. And then you start to see, okay, actually, I don't really like data. Maybe I like more of, back end development. So, but you wouldn't know until you try. So for the scholarships, it's fine to just have general interest in technology, or you see technology as this powerful tool to help the world. But as you go on, just like for your own career and your journey, it's important to start narrowing down what you want based on all the tips that Precious already mentioned. So yeah, but
Thank
don't
you
you're not
so much.
disqualified if you don't have a niche for the
Okay,
scholarship.
I skipped Janet's question earlier. She said, "Must you?" I don't know if you are a he or a he. I'm sorry. Must you have a BSA to be eligible for any of these tech scholarships? Oh, like what we've been saying so far, you don't need a BSc degree. Most of them are still looking for people. They are looking for people in school.
Hmm.
So, and if you are in school, you don't have a BSc degree, obviously. So yeah, you don't need a BSc degree for some of them or for many of them. So I'll go to the next question by Ayonim. Is this anonymous or anonymous?
I think
Okay,
it's anonymous, but it spelled very interesting.
okay. What scholarship opportunities are accessible for high school graduates pursuing a medical degree in Canada? Oh my God,
I'll leave that for you, girl.
this is a big one. This is a big one because I was also looking at this particular thing when I started. The opportunities I was able to discover when I was looking for medical stuff was the Hungarian scholarship, and it's not in Canada. It's for people in Hungary if you want to study in Hungary, right? And that actually made me to spend like a couple of days trying to like Hungary as a country, and I found a lot of interesting things about the country itself. So there is the Hungarian scholarship that allows you to study medicine in Hungary. But however, if you are international and you want to do medicine in US or Canada, it's a little bit complicated because I won't spend too much time on this because this is a big question. We can like follow up Anonymous, we can follow up after. But going to med school in Canada, it's not the direct route people follow in Nigeria. I know Anonymous must be a Nigerian. It's not the direct route people follow in Nigeria. Nigeria, 6 years is just medicine. In Canada or the US, you have to do first 4 years of pre-med and another 4 years of medical school. So pre-med is just you getting the necessary requirements to be in med school. And most international students, they have to like pay much more to do med school in like to do that pre-med phase, all right? And I would say from my experience, from my search, because med school is like one of my many goals, right? From my search, it's most med school scholarships are not always available to are not always available for international students. Most of them require you to have PR. Most of them require you to be a citizen. What else? A protected citizen, basically. So I would say Anonymous, you have to like do a lot of search for the words specific to Canada. But I personally haven't seen or pre-med related scholarships. But I would say if you've seen a university in Canada you want to attend that has this pre-medicine program, different schools have entrance scholarships. So that's something you can also look at. Look at that particular school's entrance scholarship applications. So if you get in with an entrance scholarship, the school is going to pay like some part of your tuition, right? So keep doing your search, and if you find anything interesting, do well to link me up on social media. Mm. That's a lot. So we have to like wrap up this session close to like 1:30 because I don't want people that will be coming back to watch the recording to see it as, oh, this is too long or something, right? So we have to like start wrapping up. I would touch based on based on a few questions we have left. Um, Rukayat is saying, what if you are studying a course unrelated to tech in Nigeria and you are about graduating, but you are falling in love with tech industry? Any advice? I think I said something like this also. You should find a connection between what you are studying and the tech field you are diving into. Tech is not one way. You can apply anything. Apply tech to economics, apply tech to agriculture, apply tech to health, apply tech to this, to that. So you will be able to like find a connection between the programming language you are learning and what you've studied in school. Yeah, I think that's what I want to say. Good. Oh, or do you want to add something to it, Leno? Okay. Uh so are graduate students eligible for these scholarships? Yes, like we've said earlier. Okay, Lido, go for it. I should go. Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. I would say graduate students are eligible for scholarships. You just have to like check the requirement. There are a lot of graduate scholarships, and I would recommend following a few people on LinkedIn and on Twitter. I've been able to come across a few folks on LinkedIn that are like very specific, like they have their own, should I say advocate? Like the way they advocate their stuff is about like people trying to get graduate opportunities. So if you are into graduate opportunities, follow these few people on LinkedIn. Probably I'll make a post of like people to follow if you are trying to get graduate opportunities. I can drop it on Twitter or LinkedIn so you guys can see like a few of those people. I would say when it comes to graduates also, you can like follow Stephen Kolawole. That's my brother and he's like doing his PhD right now in the US. So if you want to have a few more information about like available graduate opportunities, you can follow him because he tries his best to post those things on Twitter and LinkedIn, right? So follow those people and make your personal research also. Graduate opportunities. Google will give you a lot of options and you can just go through the requirement and be able to identify the ones you like. Okay. Thank you, Ohema, for the question. Mm, okay, I'm planning on applying for dev degree this year. What tips do you have for me? Okay, if you are applying for the dev degree, uh, I would say be able to blow your horn, like because nobody is going to tell your story for you. If you are applying for the dev degree program, be able to tell people about yourself. Like don't shy away from telling your stories because the initial stage of the dev degree program is your personal statement, and the personal statement is there to sell. It's like you selling yourself to them. It's like your first impression. So don't shy away from telling your story. Blow your horn by yourself. Write well, write good essays. And also, we've talked about impact a lot. They want to see that you are making impact. And dev degree questions, they're like a little bit different from normal scholarship questions. They want to see how you fit into the Shopify culture. They want to see if you are somebody that loves to learn. Dev degree interns are learners. Like you get to learn a lot during the first few months of being in the program. So you must be able to tell them you are ready to do these things. And they want to see your time management skills also. You must be someone who manages his or her time very well. So in your essay, you want to touch base on this thing very well. And aside from that, you can prep yourself a little bit with, I didn't have to like do a lot of practice with technical interviews, but I would say you can do a few technical interviews on Pramp, Pramp. Pramp is a website that will link you with other people trying to get tech jobs, right, all over the world. So they can pair you with someone from China, someone from the US, someone from anywhere in the world, and then both of you will evaluate each other's abilities, and then you give feedbacks. So if you do this particular interview, maybe the behavioral session, just one or two, and then you do the technical session also, you should have a few, like you should have more confidence when it comes to you talking in front of the camera or something. But for honest, the funniest thing is the dev degree recruiters, they're like very chill and they'll make you feel very, very comfortable. So it's now your own job to to like do your part basically. I don't mean to say it that way, but honestly, sell yourself very well. That's the biggest advice. Thank you for bringing that question up. I don't want to miss anybody's questions. We have like 5 minutes roughly. I think so. Um, what scholarship opportunities are accessible for graduates interested in pursuing computer science degree in the US or Canada? I think I shared my screen at the beginning of this session, right? For the opportunities Lido has gotten and the ones I've also gotten, right? So should I share my screen again, Lido? What do you think?
I think, yeah, because I think
Okay.
lots of
So
what we
people can
got.
see, so
Yeah.
people can see the scholarships and then apply. Okay. A few of them are like you guys know the fall and the fall session, like the fall term is when most of these applications are out, right? So you can take advantage of them right now. Most applications are opening. Okay. I don't mean to share that particular screen. I'm going to share again. Uh, present, sure. Share screen, a window. Yes, good. Okay. So these are the scholarships Lido has benefited from, and you guys can like go through the application requirements and see the ones that are open right now. Thank you, Anonymous. I appreciate it. Janet, thank you. Awesome. So I think I've been able to cover most of the questions. If I've missed your question one way or the other, you can like put it up again so it can come to the top. If not, yeah, I think we've been able to do justice to this session.
I agree. Great
Thank you
questions,
so
everyone.
much, Lido. I really appreciate your time.
It was
Today
great.
is Saturday. You should be in your room resting or something.
You
Probably.
as well. No, this was great. I'm so glad we could do this. I'm so
Yes, he's happy. Okay.
glad. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your questions. And
You
yeah,
are welcome. So somebody asked a question if this session is recorded. We didn't record the session, but it's going to be available on YouTube.
yep.
So after this session has ended, you can always visit the channel to see the video again. And also give good comments or cheer up, share the link with people, let them see what you benefited from. And if you have any more personal questions like okay, one more thing to add. If you write your essay and you need someone to review for you, my mentor is very big on that. And if you don't know her, I don't shy to tell people who my mentor is. Oluwatoyin Yetunde Sonny. So if you think you need help, but you don't just go to her DM shabbily and be like, oh, I need you to review my essay for me or something. No, it doesn't work that way, right? But you can reach out politely, and if she has the time, she is going to welcome you and review it. She's a very good essay like I won't even say essay reviewer. She's a lot of things. She's big, right? So she has been the one reviewing all my essays for me. Though if your mentor is teaching you one thing for a long time, you have to get to the point where you become solid yourself, right? So I think that's the phase I'm in right now. So just try and reach out in the most appropriate way, and I believe she's going to help you out. Okay. If you let me drop her name in the chat section. Oluwatoyi Yetunde Sonny. Yeah. She's on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. Okay. And if you also have people you want to introduce Lido, please feel free to like drop it for the audience. Thank you so much, everybody. It's almost time. I'm just waiting for that red thing to click so I can like, oh, I'm going. I need to go and have fun. Anyways, just kidding. Oh. Oh, do you have like any final words for the audience?
Um, just I would say just keep on building your like portfolio. So same way you go about looking for an internship or a job. Like I mentioned, I didn't know lots of like my involvements in school. For me, it was just like I'm just very big on I don't just want to come to school to get good grades. Like, I want to have a very wholesome experience. So that really pushed me to be involved in many different things. I'm not in any way saying let your academics suffer. Like please do what's best for you and know your capacity, like know what you can handle. But just keep on putting yourself out there. So even if, let's say, you're an incoming student and you don't get anything, don't be discouraged. You still have like 3 4 years to bag lots of scholarships too, but just keep on staying involved, because what involvement does is that it exposes you to people, and when it comes time for you to write these applications, you won't be scrambling, trying to figure out, oh, what have I done? Because you've already been doing these things. So don't be discouraged. Like, I didn't get my first scholarship until my second year. But between like my second and my fifth year, I got all these different scholarships. So just keep on showing up, keep on pursuing your interests, trying different things, volunteering. It all adds up, I promise. Like it always, always adds up. So that's what I was saying.
I don't think I can give any more advice than when you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Like,
you.
I believe if you follow all of these things and you are intentional enough about you getting this thing, like the word is at your fingertip, basically.
Yes.
Like nothing is limiting you. You have the potential. You have what it takes to get this thing. So just set yourself properly, write your essays, build your resumes, like she has said, and yeah, you are in a good place. Waris asked a question, and I'm just like saying it. She said, he said rather, I explored the dev degree website, but I need more clarification on the prerequisite for the scholarship. The dev degree program does not have like any big prerequisite like that. You can be an high school student. Yeah. You can be a high school student and still like get into the program. In the dev degree program right now, we have people that are just out of high school and they're like working right now, right? So we don't have any specific requirement. You must just show all the attributes I mentioned so far. Be ready to learn, and you must have volunteered. Like those are the things you're going to sell. Yeah, no specific requirements basically. I hope that answers your questions. So you can be okay. Um, one thing, if you are trying to apply, I believe you don't have to be a first year student also. You can be in your second year and apply for the program. Even I think third year and apply for the program. That is just going to determine the number of placement you are going to have. Because dev degree interns, they get to join like 4 different Shopify teams before they graduate. So if you are joining in your second year, that means probably just get to join 3 different teams instead of 4 before graduation. But it doesn't matter if you are high school student or undergraduate or in your second year. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. I would say if you are not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I know I've not been very consistent when it comes to creating videos. Oh, my workload is killing me. But anyways, I try my best to put videos out there. And if you have a particular video you want to see, like if you want me to make something, like if you have a content you want me to make videos on, feel free to reach out and I will try my best to do something like that.
I
Okay?
just want to add just a quick tip for people. Also, like, follow Precious on like her Twitter, because at times she might not make a video, but she'll post, like, she'll retweet something like a scholarship opportunity. So I always say follow people who are where you want to be. Like, let's say like they're already students in Canada or the US, and that's where you want to get to. Just I'm not saying like stalk them, but just keep tabs on them. Just see opportunities that they. Most times people might not have the time to make a video like this and just share all the opportunities, but what they will do is that they will share it on their TL. So sometimes just scroll through, see if there's anything that they've posted. I know Precious always shares things that she comes across. So yeah, if you're not following her already, please follow her for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Follow Lido as well. I would also say we can make a mini community among ourselves. So if you want people to follow you on Twitter also, and you are like looking for opportunities, you can drop your Twitter handle in the chat so people can like follow you up
Follow.
and all get to know, oh, we have the same goal we want to achieve together.
Yes.
Okay. We are going to end this session now. Okay. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so much,
everybody.
everyone. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Precious.
Bye.
Bye.
End stream.